Object. Give me my wedding gown. It's for me, it's not for you. It's my wedding gown. I say, give me my wedding gown. Ugh.
I wasn't supposed to be home. Not today. The meeting had been cancelled. The traffic cleared unusually fast, and the sun had slipped through the clouds in a way that made the streets glisten. Fate, it seemed, had other plans. The house was too quiet, too perfect. A silence that didn't belong to a home filled with life. And then, faintly, I heard it. A soft melody drifting from the bedroom. Our wedding song. The one Adrian had said made him uncomfortable, that we hadn't played in years. I froze, my heart slamming against my ribs. Every instinct screamed at me. Something was wrong. Everything was wrong. I moved toward the door slowly, my heels clicking softly against the hardwood, each step feeling heavier than the last. And then I saw them. Lena, my maid, my trusted employee for 8 months, standing in the center of our bedroom. My wedding dress draped perfectly over her, the veil pinned into her dark hair with painstaking care. She was spinning slowly, delicately, like a bride rehearsing a moment that wasn't hers to have. Behind her, Adrian, hands on the train of the dress, adjusting it. His tailored suit crisp and immaculate. The scene had been carefully arranged. The bed covered with rose petals, candles half burned, my perfume filling the room. They had been preparing for a wedding, secret wedding. And I had walked into it, uninvited. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw myself at him, shake him, beg for any explanation. But I couldn't. I just watched, frozen, as the two people I thought I knew smiled at each other like conspirators. Adrian looked up first. His eyes met mine, wide, guilt washing over him. But Elena didn't flinch. Not a twitch. Not a blink. Calm, serene, untouchable. It was infuriating. Levi. Adrian's voice trembled, weak and desperate, but I didn't let him finish. My throat had tightened too much for words. My hands itched with fury, and yet I moved slowly, deliberately toward her. Elena, take it off, I said, my voice trembling, brittle but edged with something deadly. Her fingers tightened slightly on the lace. She glanced at Adrian, as if waiting for permission. He faltered. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. His silence was a confession. I grabbed her by the shoulders and yanked. The fabric fell to the floor. She stood there, unervingly composed, as if she had rehearsed this moment 100 times. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. Adrian tried to step forward to intervene, but I turned to him sharply. Leave. Or alone, I said, my voice now steady, a cold fury beneath it. He froze, his eyes darting between us. And then he spoke. Levi. I fell out of love with you, he said. His voice low, almost broken. I don't know how to tell you. She's everything I ever wanted in a woman. And she's pregnant. The word struck me like a whip. My chest felt hollow. My knees threatened to give out. I could hear nothing but my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I didn't speak. Couldn't. Elena still didn't move, didn't flinch, her calm a dagger in my chest. Adrian's confession hung in the air, unyielding, undeniable, as if the betrayal itself had weight. I stared at him, then at her, then back at him, my mind whirling with disbelief, rage, and the kind of grief that makes your bones ache. Something snapped inside me. Rage, heartbreak, humiliation, all combined into a single sharp blade of clarity. I grabbed Elena again, dragging her toward the wardrobe. Take the dress off, I commanded. This time she hesitated. She looked at Adrian, expecting him to intervene to protect her. But he stood there, silent, exposed, ashamed. That silence told me everything. The dress slipped to the floor. Elena's composure wavered slightly for the first time. I turned back to Adrian, my voice trembling with cold fury. You dared to plan a wedding behind my back. In my house. With my dress. With my life. He opened his mouth, but no words came. You lied to me, I continued, voice shaking with rage and grief. You lied to me every single day. You thought you could replace me, erase me while I worked for this family, for this life, for you. Elena's eyes widened slightly, but it wasn't fear. It was recognition. Recognition that the woman she thought powerless was standing, alive, unbroken, and more dangerous than they could imagine. Adrian's face turned pale. His hand shook. And I realized the final, terrible truth. It wasn't just the betrayal. It wasn't just the pregnancy or the secret wedding. It was the audacity of thinking they could play with my life and get away with it. I bent down, picked up my wedding dress, and let it slip through my fingers onto the floor. It fell like a symbol of everything they had tried to take from me, and everything they would never have. "This ends today," I whispered, my voice steady now, tinged with the deadly calm of someone who had nothing left to lose. The next morning, the sun burned harshly through the bedroom windows, casting cold light over a room that had felt too warm with betrayal the night before. Adrian had been unusually silent, Elena still unervingly composed, as though nothing had happened. But my anger hadn't cooled, it had crystallized. Every word he said, every glance she gave me, etched into me like fire. "Levi," Adrian said, almost pleading, "we can't be late." "The wedding." Froze. My heart sank further. "The wedding." My voice cracked, sharp with disbelief. "You mean, the one you've been rehearsing? The one she's going to, wearing my dress?" "Yes," Adrian admitted, his words fumbling. I bought it for her. I love how it looks on her. Don't you see? I don't love you anymore. I've moved on." I stared at him, my chest tightening, the air thick with betrayal. "Not my dress," I whispered. My hands shook as though they wanted to rip something apart, but I clenched them instead. She cannot wear my dress. After everything, after this betrayal, you think you can just hand it to her?" Elena's calm was maddening. She took the gown from the wardrobe, her hands steady, her eyes flicking toward me with a faint, almost imperceptible smile. I couldn't breathe. My knees trembled. My hands shook as I lunged for the dress. "Give it back. I bought this dress. My dress. My wedding. My life." Adrian stepped in front of me, his voice cold, deliberate, almost clinical. "No, Levi. You don't understand. She has to wear it. We can't be late. The ceremony is in an hour. This is her day now." I recoiled. "Not my dress. Not my dress." I could barely get the words out through the rage that consumed me. How can you, after everything, after doing this to me, you still want her to wear my wedding gown?" Adrian didn't answer immediately. He just looked at me, and in that moment I realized it wasn't just indifference. It was a calculated cruelty. He wanted me to feel every ounce of humiliation. "I bought it for her," he said finally, voice icy. "I love how she looks in it. I don't love you anymore. Don't you understand?" The words were like knives, slicing through my chest. My vision blurred. My breaths came in ragged gasps. I reached for the dress again, but Elena moved closer to him, letting him shield her from me. I wanted to scream, to cry, to collapse to the floor. But instead I felt something darker rising, cold, sharp, focused. Rage. Power. A resolve that I would not be humiliated again. "You think this ends with the gown?" I whispered, voice low but deadly. "You think taking my dress, taking my dignity, taking her over me, will erase me? You're wrong. Dead wrong."
Elena's eyes flicked toward me, and for the first time, I saw hesitation. The mask was cracking. Adrian's smugness faltered. "Before I continue my story, I want to know, do you love this intensity and want more shocking, heart-pounding drama like this? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you won't want to miss any new video." I took a step forward, slow, deliberate, every heartbeat echoing in the room. "This is my life," I said, trembling with fury. "You don't get to decide how it ends. You don't get to erase me. And you," I pointed at Elena, "you don't get to wear my wedding dress. Not her. Not anyone. Not after what you've done." The room went silent. Every clock ticked loud against my pounding heart. Adrian swallowed hard. Elena's composure faltered. The power had shifted. I don't love you anymore, Adrian repeated, almost defensively. She's everything I want. You're in the past. I laughed then. A low, bitter laugh that surprised even me. Everything you want, I echoed, voice breaking, trembling, full of sorrow and fury. After destroying everything? After betraying me in my own house? After this? I gestured to the gown in her hands. She's everything you want? The audacity. Elena's hands shook now, barely. She was human again, vulnerable, and Adrian's eyes darted between us, panic and disbelief beginning to seep in. I straightened, my voice quiet but sharp, filled with the weight of heartbreak and resolve. Go. Both of you. Take the gown. Leave my house. Leave my life. Go to your wedding. I am done watching you destroy everything I gave you. They left. Slowly. Adrian held the gown over Elena's arm, as though it were the crown of their betrayal. And I remained, standing in the wreckage of my trust, my chest heaving, my hands trembling, but my spirit unbroken. Because one thing was clear. This wasn't the end. Not for me. Not for them. The storm they thought they'd unleashed would meet a hurricane they could never survive. I had found it. The venue. The time. Every detail had been hidden in Adrian's careless emails and Elena's private messages. I memorized it all. Every flower arrangement, every guest list, every last detail. By the time I arrived, the chapel was calm. The scent of fresh roses filled the air. Elena stood at the altar in my wedding gown, smiling as if she had won everything. Adrian was beside her, confident, smug, certain no one would stop them. The guests murmured quietly, unaware of the storm about to hit. The pastor raised his hands. If there is anyone here who objects to this marriage, his gaze swept across the small crowd. Let them speak now, or forever hold their peace. The room fell silent. Elena's smile faltered slightly. Adrian shifted, glancing at the crowd. That was my cue. I stepped forward. Slowly, my heels clicking against the polished floor, every step deliberate. The air seemed to still around me. Every eye turned toward me. I object, I said, my voice steady, but charged with fury. Because I am his wife. Gasps filled the chapel. Elena froze. The color drained from her face. Adrian's smug confidence vanished instantly, replaced by shock, disbelief, panic. I stepped closer to the altar. My hands reached for the gown draped over Elena's shoulders. And this, I said, voice rising, trembling with rage and heartbreak, is my wedding gown. Bought for me, worn by me, meant for me. Not for you, not for her. Not after the lies, not after the betrayal, not after everything you did to try and erase me from your life. Elena tried to speak, but no words came. She was unprepared, vulnerable, human again. Adrian opened his mouth to defend himself, but I cut him off with a glare that could have frozen him in place. You thought you could steal my life, my home, my dignity. I continued, stepping closer. You thought no one would know. You thought no one would stop you. But I am here. I see everything. And I will not let you take what is mine. The pastor cleared his throat awkwardly, unsure how to proceed. The guests whispered, stunned into silence. Adrian's face had gone pale. Elena's composure shattered completely. I looked at them both, my chest heaving, every emotion raw, grief, rage, betrayal, heartbreak, and power all at once. This wedding ends now, I said, every word a blade. Not because anyone else objects, because the truth is here. I am his wife. I own this life. I own this dress. And you will have nothing. Adrian stumbled back, speechless. Elena stared at me, her once confident mask broken. The chapel, once filled with anticipation for their lies, now held only silence. I took a deep breath. Every eye in the room was on me. Everything heart beat in sync with my own. And in that silence, I knew this was my victory. Not cruelly, not violently, but completely. The audacity of their betrayal had been met with a force they could not have imagined. And I, finally, had reclaimed everything. The chapel was silent. Elena stood at the altar, my stolen wedding gown hugging her, a nervous smile on her face. Adrian's hand rested on hers, confidence radiating from him, until the pastor's gaze landed on him. "Is this true?" the pastor asked, voice calm but probing, eyes fixed on Adrian. Adrian's lips trembled.
His voice shook as he tried to speak. I.
The words faltered, meaningless, leaving the room heavy with suspense. I stepped forward, my heels clicking against the floor. Every eye turned to me. Every heartbeat seemed to stop. "Yes, it's true," I said, holding up my phone and a folder. Wedding certificates, pictures, messages, proof. He is my husband. The pastor took the documents, scanning them carefully, and then looked back at Adrian. Why did you deceive us all?" Adrian opened his mouth, closed it, stammered. "Nothing. This wedding cannot hold," the pastor declared firmly, his voice echoing across the chapel. "It ends here." Adrian's shoulders slumped. He bowed his head in shame. Elena's composure cracked, color draining from her face. And then she spoke. "I'm carrying your child," Elena said, her voice trembling but determined, turning to Adrian. "Remember, I cannot give birth out of wedlock. That's my culture. I can't do this without being married. You are the father, but this is how it must be. Do you understand?" The room went still again. Shock froze the guests. Adrian's head bowed lower, his guilt plain for all to see. His eyes flicked to me, but there was nowhere to hide. I took a step forward, voice trembling with fury and heartbreak, removing the gown that had been stolen from me. This was supposed to be my life, my wedding, my family, not yours to plan, steal, or lie about. And yet, here you are plotting, deceiving, thinking you could erase me completely. Adrian remained silent, broken. Elena's bravado was gone, replaced by fear. The pastor nodded approvingly as the final truth sank into everyone's hearts. I lifted the gown from the floor and let it settle over my shoulders. "I am his wife," I said, voice strong and sharp. "This gown is mine. This life is mine. And no lies, no conspiracies, no betrayal can ever change that. This wedding ends now." The guests whispered, stunned into silence. Adrian and Elena were exposed, humiliated, powerless. And I stood there, whole, unbroken, victorious in the storm of betrayal they had tried to create. Levi stood in the sunlight, the gown flowing around her like a crown. The storm of betrayal had passed, and what remained was clarity, strength, and a hard-earned sense of justice. She had reclaimed her life, her dignity, and her future, reminding everyone that no one could erase who you truly are. This story isn't just about betrayal or revenge. It's about courage, self-worth, and standing up for yourself even when the world seems against you. No one should ever let lies, deceit, or manipulation define their life. If you've ever faced betrayal, heartbreak, or someone trying to take what's rightfully yours, remember Levi's lesson. You have the power to reclaim your life, to stand tall, and to show the world that you are unstoppable. Part 2 is coming soon, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Secrets still lurk, betrayals still linger, and the real storm is only just beginning. This is just the start of Levi's journey, and what happens next will be even darker, more shocking, and more intense than you've ever imagined. Tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Levi's shoes? Would you have stayed calm like her? Or let the rage take over? Like this video if you love the drama, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2 of Levi's story.